going to go, and all we're going to do with this is just go over code editors. I've actually downloaded some fresh to this PC, and all we're going to do is basically install them, see what they do. Any kind of input y'all got is great. Like I said before, I am very new to this as far as the code editors. When I was actually researching this, I actually realized, and that's actually the first one and a good segue into it, they actually use
Very
Hey,
still.
nobody's allowed to wave.
Just move the skeleton a little closer to it, maybe.
yeah, I might move. Well, that's as close
Maybe
as
not.
it gets.
It's not freaking.
Quick, sit down.
Let me switch this around here real quick. Searching. HTML. Anyway, the segue I had was that when I was researching this, I came across something or another. Hold on a second, because it's not on my screen now. And realized that there is, and the screen resolution is kind of not true because it cuts off stuff. I used to be a Unix admin also, and there is a Unix editor called VI, in case anybody's not familiar with it. Like I said before, it's going to be real basic. Evidently, in the development world and Windows platform now, they have something or another where VI, and it's VI improved is what it stands for. And I'm sure, has everybody seen VI in here?
A little bit.
What's that?
A little bit.
Okay. It's very, how shall we say, not very nice as far as running it. In a little while, what I'll probably do is put on a instance of Ubuntu Linux and show it there kind of in the native environment with it. How much do y'all really want me to go into, like, how to get through VI? Because that,
Myself.
yeah, I mean, that's kind of I found something that was very interesting actually. I'll pull it up real quick. It was a VIM tutorial, and it was actually very interesting because he had to actually walk through. Let's see real quick. But I wouldn't really usually recommend it for most people, just because of what it's just hard to use, and it's an interesting thing. I went through it. I mean, you can go through it in a few minutes. It's kind of one of those things where it's really it's not very intuitive, of course, so it doesn't really make sense and everything, especially with people that are using regular editors. Like I said before, this is a simple thing. You can do this, do your code in here, sit there, get out of it. The advantages with this thing is that, and actually it's the advantage with most of them, every one I'm going to go over is a free one. This is basically not a shareware, not anything like that. It's a freeware thing. Download it, install it, that kind of stuff. So I kicked another couple of them, which were Eclipse and NetBeans. What we're going to do when we're going over through this is, it's like anything else, of course, as we know. It got into more of a graphical interface and more graphics, supposedly the better with it. Let's go through real quick, and we're going to go through. I've actually installed, or going to install when we're doing this, NetBeans. I know everybody really wanted to stay on the VI because everybody was so excited with it.
So excited every time it's mentioned.
And I'm going through, anybody, I'm just kind of curious, anybody really into developing with the Mac or iOS
If I could afford it.
platform? Okay, not really?
I
Okay.
use Linux.
Yeah,
Use Vim, Sublime, or Komodo.
okay. I was just gonna go through with most of the Windows stuff right now, just because I think that's where it's kind of going. And got a couple of examples. This is 7.3. This is, of course, the whole, I don't know why it's not finding this, but we'll figure that out. This, of course, is all of what you can do with it in. It's probably a little more than most people, really want to go through, but it's got the Javas, basically, and I know PostGres. Anybody who really do PHP, is that what most of this is, or? Okay,
A little bit. Getting into it.
okay, all right,
Yeah, more when I learn more.
yeah. So what do you think, from because that's the whole point of this, is a newbie perspective. What do you think about this as far as, what would you be looking for as far as with any kind of code editors? I know it's kind of, I think what most people are looking for is just for something they can develop in for free, because I would think that would be ease of use would be the most important things, and also just the fact that it's free. And that's how we skipped over the, yeah, that's interesting.
580K.
Yeah, I downloaded it with the rest of it here, so I'm not sure why it's not seeing it. So,
Oh, Java.
let's see. Because I downloaded a version from the NetBeans.
And NetBeans run by Oracle.
Yeah. Let's do that. Download this version of this. So if you bear with me for a second, we'll install this development kit. And that was actually kind of the purpose with this, was to see if we run into any kind of problems and things like that, and what kind of problems you run into and that kind of stuff. So. What we'll do after this is go through and install the Eclipse also code editor, and then I've just got some little basic examples of like the whole cliche's little hello world in Java to sit there and to run through and that kind of stuff. So, and let me know what y'all want to, if you got any other kind of questions. I got the network to work. We can sit here and download stuff. We can download the videos. We don't have to worry about the wireless stuff. We can watch Iron Man 3 or whatever he's talking about in there. Yeah.
So what environment do you actually develop in?
I actually just do, only thing I've really gotten into is PHP, and then started installing Drupal. And that's all. And to be frank about it, I haven't really gotten that far
Okay,
with it.
fair enough.
PHP and some of these other things really kind of seem like they're really kind of simple from what I remember way back in the day, because you had to define your array, you had to do your object, you had to do this, and it was just a big mess when everybody did it, but that was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And so this stuff seems like it's a lot of just scripting and just kind of, they seem to kind of throw a lot of stuff on the client on the server side. And there seems to be like, and it goes back to my background with networking, there seems to be a lot of stuff and a lot of traffic created with a lot of this server side scripts and things like that. And I'm kind of, just kind of trying to get into that. So I'm kind of curious about this. Why I joked around and wore this shirt today. I know almost nothing about databases except to do the SQL stuff, and that's it. And I just was like, well, I wear that. And
Is Mongo no SQL or is it an SQL database? I can't remember.
it's supposed to be the no SQL thing. It's
Oh my
supposed to be this guy gave a talk with it last year. And actually at one of I think it was actually the Drupal group or the PHP group in Jacksonville. And he was hilarious. He came over from like Denmark and he was hilarious, but I was just sitting there just kind of going, okay, because he was talking all this stuff like it's supposed to be some kind of Zen, almost like some kind of Zen thing that this database is SQL, but it's not SQL. And
Database admins drink Kool-Aid, or the Kool-Aid, they go full at it. It's,
yeah. He was a great guy. I mean, he had a
Yeah.
great talk and everything with it, but he was just, he was kind of,
enthusiastic.
yeah, to say the least. And it was interesting to me. I like the t-shirt. So let's come up with our contest while this is going, and everything with this about what we want to do as far as giving away this lovely book that they told us and everything. It's everything in one. PHP MySQL, and you're supposed to say MySQL and Apache. So, I don't know, whoever can come up with the most interesting story as far as like what they do or what's unique about themselves, since I like to throw that in there as far as the Stormtrooper thing. Oh, and I have 10,000 comics too, so I think it's another little weirdo thing about me. So, I mean, we don't have to, it's a psychology part of me, you know what I'm saying? A psychologist part of me.
Wait
you know?
a minute.
Tell me about the relationship with your mother. No. Just think everything, because when we'll all do a group thing and judge it as a group, and so, well, not judge. Let's not use that word. Let's not use that word. Let's not use that word. Let's all decide. It'll be a group decision.
There.
So,
That was a lovely picture.
so I got a question for everybody. What do they want to do? I mean, why did y'all? I mean, I've kind of shared why I got into this. I mean, why are y'all interested in doing this or doing development work or things like that? I mean, just something to do or?
I like doing it. It's what I went to school for. It's what
Okay.
would have a job for. What I have a job for. Would have a job for if I didn't. If I had to pick.
Yeah.
I just find it interesting. It's
Okay.
not to be glorified problem solving, but it's
Yeah.
solving puzzles and
Hmm.
edge cases and all
Okay.
sorts of fun things.
Okay. Yeah. I always sat there and said that developers are born and not made. So, well, I got a buddy of mine, and I'll show you the site. What the heck? I mean, we're sitting here waiting and everything on this lovely Java. They say, here you go. This is a friend of mine who's actually a developer for Amazon. And if you can tell how geeky this guy is, this is what he got as his domain name in the late 90s.
Wow.
He got evan.org of all things.
He does private shows.
Well,
I would say magician as well.
he's a magician. This is really kind of a funny story. This guy met his wife. We were sitting here dressed in Stormtrooper armor, okay, and he's sitting here doing magic tricks, and he's sitting here at the same time talking about coding So that's kind of the relevance with it here. And he sat there and he said, I think she thought I was a geek.
No, she knew.
And that's exactly what she said. She goes, I knew everything. But anyway, it was just kind of a funny little story and everything. I used to be on his site and everything with it, but I get the biggest kick out of him because he's funny because he's a developer, like I said before, for Amazon, and he wants to be a magician. So, which not that I can give out the kind of information in here, but one of his kids' name is actually Xander, which I thought was kind of cool. So, kind of like Buffy.
Yeah.
So anyway, you got any other interesting stories in here as far as what we do, what kind of crazy things we do, that kind of stuff? I'm giving you time and everything because God knows we've got like 25 minutes here.
We got it.
And we get this lovely book.
I have a degree in graphic design,
Mm-hmm.
and that got me a job working in tourism.
Yeah.
Doing lots of random stuff that doesn't involve a lot of anything important. But
Okay.
I had a background with Oracle databases and programming and web and all that kind of stuff, so I kind of get to do everything at work.
When I ask you this question, and I always ask people this question, when they say they're a designer or a graphic designer or something like that, and I'm always curious about it, do you consider yourself more of an artist
Oh yeah,
or more of a
I'm an
technical?
artist.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
no. If I could just be an illustrator, I would do that. But
Okay.
unfortunately, the market for illustrators dropped about the time I graduated from college.
Mhm.
So,
Well, see, I'm the child of an artist, and that's why I was curious about it.
gotcha. Yeah, no, I have
So-
oil paint and acrylic and watercolor and color. I mean, I've got an entire room filled with, traditional 2D and 3D art media stuff.
Okay.
So, but then I started doing, I knew web stuff, back when Angel Fire and GeoCities were the shit.
Oh, okay.
I was making websites on
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and tables were the best way to lay out everything, which I love bringing up with these guys. I'm like, we put it in a table.
Yeah.
And they sigh at me.
She's getting there with the tables. The tables comment, you know what I'm saying? She's getting closer
On
to
the
the
cutting
book.
edge.
Yeah.
Closer to the book
Yeah.
here.
Hey,
Yeah.
they started doing these div things, and I was out. No.
You know what?
It was never gonna last.
One of the guys that's here, and part of the reason why I'm here, because I met him in Jackson with the meetups, he sits there and he sends me this. I asked him, I said, hey, what's a few months ago and everything when I was thinking about getting into this, and I got kind of sidetracked because I actually got a job with a what they call a managed services group, which in other words, it basically goes out to clients. It kind of does everything, does server, desktop, network stuff, that kind of thing. And so I took it, and then they were in Jacksonville. They lost a couple of big clients. Basically said, well, you know what? You were the first one here, so guess what? The first one out. And I said, oh, great. And so then I started. Well, the point is, I started emailing one of the guys here, Kevin, and was talking to him and saying, what do you look for? What's the trends? What's the kind of what's going on? What's more in demand as far as positions? Like a designer, developer, what? And he started going. He emailed me back and he goes, well, it's front end designer, and the problem was all these div tags. And I was like, what the heck is that? And everything. So I went through and looked it up and everything and did all this kind of little just research on it. And I said, well, that's kind of interesting that they've done that with the development stuff now. Because I used to be one of those guys, you've heard it 1,000 times and everything, way back in the day, did the websites, I did all my HTML editor and Notepad.
Notepad was amazing.
I still use that sometimes.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I could bust out a table faster than you could blink. I was good.
So she's
I
closer to
just
the
hated
book.
tables in LaTeX. I don't know if you've ever had to use LaTeX.
No, I haven't.
It's not fun.
Yeah.
It's really not fun.
So they're trying to bring me up to the 21st century. And I just do web designs for them sometimes.
Well,
and I'm learning. I do a lot of, can we do this? No? Okay. If we had a table, we could do that.
On our phone. Fixed width.
So are y'all working together? Is that what it is, or
Sort of.
sort of, kind of?
There's 3 of them, or 2 now.
Well, so,
Yeah, technically. The 3 of them have a company started by design, and then I have
Okay.
my normal 9 to 5 job, and I work with them on weekends and my days off.
Oh, okay.
Because we don't do that graphical printing so
Yeah, none of them have creative form in their body, so I make the pretty pictures,
Okay.
and they make them into nice websites, and I stare in awe and try to figure out how to do it again.
Huh. Put it in a table. Put it in a table. Great.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's like I know enough to be dangerous. I can read all of the code,
Yeah.
and I know what it's doing, but I can't just come up with it on my own.
Yeah, don't you always sit there and see yourself, and that's part of the reason why I got into this too, and the side of it. You sit there and you see some kind of code like that, and you just start going like this,
Yeah.
you know, as far as wanting to sit here and read it and do the,
Mhm.
do the
Like,
logic and that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So, well, I guess we should also tell him what's going on.
Yeah, feel free.
Just leave me in the dark. No.
Oh, so we're all kind of in the dark. We're going over some stuff. But what we're doing is we're just, I just did a fresh, got this stuff basically with a fresh computer and just sat there and said, hey, I'm going to install this stuff. We'll go through the installs with a couple of these editors. We've already kind of gone over VI. Nobody really wants to talk about that, you know, and so, because it's just ugly. Let's just admit it, you know. That's what this is. Actually, I found when I was doing my research for this talk, I found this tutorial. I couldn't even find an old VI book I had. I used to be a Unix admin, and I couldn't even find a VI. I was like, where the heck is it? And of course, I've moved 4 times since then. But anyway, so I found this. This was an interesting little thing. It goes into just the 20 or 30,000 foot level, and that's it. It's interesting. I mean, do you use VI? You used it? Know what it is?
Not sure.
I mean, it's really just a basic text editor that you sit there and you go through and you put your code in here with it, and then you save it. I mean, what I use it most for is PHP stuff,
yeah.
and that's it. So anyway, we're also having to, I found out this morning, and everything, a couple hours ago, that we are giving away this book at each one of the presentations. Or a different book, but a book is what we're giving away. So we kind of decide group wise that if you come with an interesting story or something interesting about yourself, that's what we're kind of doing. So, because I was sharing something, I like to share something I'm interested about myself, and I dressed up as a stormtrooper and that kind of stuff from Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So, and right now, actually, what we're waiting on for a really long time, and it's successful now. And where we're at is we are right now installing NetBeans, which is another code editor with this.
I thought the last thing you met means and JDK.
I thought it did too. Let's go and see. I think you're correct, sir.
I mean, it took long enough. This job is give it space.
And just speak up if you want to go over anything in particular. Like I was telling them, my background's in network engineering. I actually got into this just like a few months ago and decided I have a computer science degree from way, way back in the day. And so whatever you want to go over. So.
I'd really like to just hear what he's talking about, I guess. So,
What's that?
Maybe
there's NetBeans. Da, 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 da. So, and I have honestly not used this as much, and why I chose this was because some of the senior developers here that I'm involved with in Jacksonville, a couple of them use that. And just a tip that I've learned, in case you haven't learned yet with this, they're big into the development stuff, into creating virtual machines, if you're into that. And basically designing the website within that virtual machine and actually pushing it up to wherever your server space is, basically. So that was just kind of an interesting thing to me, because like we were going over before, I'm used to way back in the day, you know, doing HTML and Notepad and that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, so that's one thing that's really I thought was really kind of interesting, because so my advice to anybody who's like myself and a newbie is go out, learn how they're doing the virtual machines and do that. I haven't gotten into exactly why exactly, other than it seems to be kind of a clean environment is what it probably is with me. That's what I would think. So, and virtual machines to me have been around, but they were on a different wavelength. They were on the server side, and we started creating them years and years ago. With the stuff you started running all kinds of virtualization and server instances and things like that. And so, but I think that's what you're going to say. That
So you have a clean environment, so you can have a pseudo server effectively, so you're not working on local. Because we started a while ago, and you do images and move things around.
Mm-hmm.
You source them to the site root, whatever. You put on the server. The site root's not the root of the server. It's several directories down. So you have the image targeted at something that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Or not just an image, or a library, or not executable, but thing like that.
So have you used these before, like any kind of virtual machines or anything like that?
I've used them a couple times, but with the little stuff, I would like to do more development work, but most of my work with Drupal has been site building stuff. Because of the clients. But.
And actually, one of the talks, I think it's an intermediate talk, but one of the ones I would actually recommend was one later on today with Git. Is what it's called.
Use Git.
And use that. I'm still learning all the little nuances with it, but learn that. Do we have any kind of preference on what we want to go through? This was really kind of unorganized on purpose and everything, so we could sit here and see what was going on. I can install the other one. We can go through some of the. This basically covers all of the editors I had up here. Will cover and have plugins for any kind of language that you're talking about. In other words, for Java, C, C++, C#, PHP. That's not really an issue. I thought that was going to be kind of an issue. I told them before, one of the criteria with this, when I looked at these editors, was that they're all free, that you can just download them and run with it. Right now we're doing a Windows kind of a base with it. If anybody's interested, I can sit here and plug up. I've got Ubuntu on a flash drive, and I can sit there and go through that. I mean, I don't know how
it being Java, it should run on anything.
Yeah, well, that's exactly true. It's going to run on anything. So, yeah. But anyway, so do you have an interesting story? Because we have just a little bit longer here.
Well, I guess part of my story is.
But no, what's so interesting that you do?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Unique, because I've also actually been a night at the Renaissance Festival.
Well,
believe it or not.
Yeah, I guess in that sense. I mean, besides it, I'm a painter. I do art, painting. But I went to school for aerospace engineering, and I had really egalitarian type of ideas with what to do with that, and then found out in the industry that it's not that cool. It's more like military based, so I was really turned away from it.
Yeah.
And so that's I left my job as an engineer and I just work on a variety of community projects. I'm really interested in like consensus and like how to develop consensus in the community and like how to bring people together to talk.
This is kind of off topic, so let's not go too far with it.
Okay,
but,
yeah. That's, I guess.
But I mean, how do you?
interest
Now,
is
what do you? I'm curious on what you consider consensus.
Yeah.
What do you consider that? And what's
Just agreement by everybody
okay?
in a certain party. I'm not saying everybody on the
Okay.
on a large scale, but like
As a decision-making process.
as a
Yeah.
decision-making process. Yeah.
Okay.
Are you a Quaker?
I'm not a Quaker, but I know about Quakers. Yeah.
Just curious.
Okay.
Things, yeah.
Yeah. 'cause
It's
I'm-
similar to
They're
that.
big on consensus.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And social justice and things like
Yeah,
that.
we
Yeah,
just all
sure.
had a lot of values in common there.
Okay. All right.
Definitely.
Well, let's go with since we actually got this installed here. Let's go through the real quick tour here with it. Keep grabbing this wrong mouse. Oh, well, I guess we won't go through that tour.
Oh, Oracle.
Oracle's wonderful.
They try.
They try so hard.
You know, the CEO of that place is
Mhm.
a
We
trip.
certainly try.
I don't know.
Oracle as a whole is
Vacation
kind of a trip.
courses in the first like 3 months is all propaganda.
Yeah, and if you ever go to a big open source conference or whatever, lots of whatever, there'll be Oracle there and they'll be all by themselves. People love hating on Oracle.
Yeah.
They're special.
I tell you how many videos we watched of Carrie Ellison when Just joking.
How many videos of him doing what?
Wind sailing.
Really?
That was like the
Oracle training.
backdrop for the Oracle training. Yeah.
Well, they
Larry
got a
Ellison
pic-
wind sailing.
I remember a picture of him, and I forgot it's in some kind of financial magazine. But it's him on his motorcycle and everything.
They're
And
trying to make him be like God. It was
they're definitely a dude. Well, let's go through with this. Let's skip this right here and go to real quick to kind of finish up installing the last service, so we can sit there and take a look at it, since none of those, the Eclipse, since none of those seem to be in.
That's something to bring up with Eclipse. It's been a while since I actually installed it and used it, and I did it on Linux, so that makes it extra special.
Mhm.
But I know the PHP package or whatever they've done with Eclipse, because it's all plugin based, it's all in Java. It was using the last version of Eclipse, not the current version of Eclipse. And past it, it's more confusing with versions and names and things that don't make any sense to me.
Okay.
But so for doing Drupal stuff, but for anything else, it would be fine.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Eclipse was unfun to install on Windows when I did it. And what was it that Chris was making everyone's struggling for?
Well, we're using Eclipse as the software center for Ubuntu.
Oh, okay.
It's unsecure. And the other part about Eclipse is the company's in charge of herding the cats to this, the PHP community,
Mhm.
is Zen. And they have their own version of Eclipse called Zen, or Zen something or other, which is not free by a long shot.
Hmm.
It has all bells and whistles for PHP.
Hmm.
So there's that if you start looking for Drupal and PHP stuff. But since you're doing all this stuff, out of curiosity, why, is there a reason you picked NetBeans and Eclipse being really big, really powerful graphically heavy IDEs?
I picked them basically on what seemed to be popular. And like I said before, the criteria was, I found it on 2 or 3 different websites. The criteria was the price, amount of plugins, as far as like, languages that you cover.
Yeah. You can shoot anything with Eclipse.
Yeah. And the other criteria was the kind of usability. And that goes, I know that kind of goes against the grain of what I was saying with VI, but then VI or VIM, excuse me, has been out there so long that.
What I was going to go with was Eclipse is, being a developer and, having done it for a while, like I understand Eclipse and, again, there's so many bells and whistles and you can do anything. If you can think about it you can use Eclipse to help you develop it or help you bug shoot or whatever with Eclipse, or I'm assuming NetBeans is the same way. Yeah, use that one. But for like someone starting in code, I would suggest them. I mean, I was just wondering if there's a reason you picked another graphical ones or whatever. I would have gone.
Because it was such a contrast to VI,
Okay.
VIM, and that's it. Because I know that most people really don't want to do that and do that learning curve, and with
no,
VI.
I'm not saying you should use VI. VI is a
Yeah.
learning curve, all of its special stuff. But I'm saying with Eclipse, I don't know. I like to control the buttons, which is probably how I ended up being a developer. So I would go through and check off all the settings, or I'm just not sure.
Yeah.
I was going to go something more simple, but it's called. There's one for Windows. It's well, that too. That they want you to pay for that. It's a better notepad. Yeah, that one. You ever heard of that one?
I
What's
like
that?
Notepad++.
Notepad++.
Yeah, I actually ran across that when I was doing research for this.
I like it.
Yeah, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, is
I mean,
there?
it does the basic things that you'd want, like pairing parentheses and that kind of stuff.
It doesn't manage projects as well. Like Eclipse and NetBeans will manage projects much better.
Yeah.
And for things like Java and C#, and all
Yeah.
those things, you need all that.
Yeah.
Especially with namespacing and all the complicated things you can do with that. But for like, you can use it for Drupal. But it's just, it seems to me there's a lot of extra work in getting Eclipse set up for Drupal. You could just use, again, I'm writing modules, which is 3 or 4 files. Not trying to do something really complicated. You just come out of Notepad++, or she said Sublime, something like Sublime Text 2.
Yeah, I ran across the Notepad++ and I kind of thought like this, and I read it and I was kind of like, well, this is kind of interesting, but
It's very simple. They had a lot of plugins too. I'm not sure if they're written in. There's lots of things for different languages.
well, yeah, I mean, we're all already figured out by this point and everything that everything sits there and includes PHP, Java, some form of C, that kind of stuff. That's it. Which, by the way, Evan, little funny story about Evan. He emailed me, what was it, last year or so. He said he had some downtime, so he learned Java and C#.
Well, how good for him.
He's like, and I was like, you had some downtime, and this is what you did.
That's basically why I'm here.
Yeah.
I mean, not for those two. But
Yeah.
everyone needs a hobby, right?
Yeah. Well, this boy, one last story about him, because I know y'all are tired of hearing it with him, but he's just an interesting character. He actually took, and this is coming from me, someone who took 5 quarters of calculus in college. He actually saw a college course, a DiffyQ, differential equations class, that he just thought that the title of it sounded interesting, so he took it. So he audited it. So,
Math is fun. DPQ is not fun.
yeah. So that's just interesting story. So I guess we'll kind of wrap it up here. Has anybody got any kind of questions? Anything else they want to do?
Which one did you like best?
I actually like NetBeans, but I'm still learning NetBeans. With me, there's a lower learning curve with the VIM than there would be for most people, so I wouldn't recommend VIM for most people. I would actually recommend NetBeans, or like he was talking about with Eclipse, something more graphical.
What did you like about NetBeans?
Just kind of the fact that it had everything in it. It seemed to have more plugins, and it seems to have more support in the community. So could be wrong on that, but that's what I thought. That's what I kind of figured out. Everything, that it seemed to be pretty popular program, and not going for the popularity, but there's usually a reason why something's popular. So, so let's see. Okay, so what's our decision and everything with the interesting story here? So just to wrap it up.
I'm late, so I automatically don't get it.
You got to vote. That's what were you talking about? The not the social justice, but I almost want to say serendipity with it. So
So we didn't get to hear everyone's interesting.
in the back, any kind of interesting story or?
Pretty boring.
Okay.
It's interesting.
I hope this hasn't been the highlight of your day.
Unfortunately, it was.
Well, it's like this one movie and everything where this dad's saying to his son, he sits there and he goes, He goes, well, you're the best thing that ever happened to me. And he goes, well, I just feel bad for you now. So, all right, well.
I was gonna say, I think our group has a copy of it.
No, I think we do.
So
Okay.
I
So
would
someone else would
respect
use
it,
that, would?
yeah, someone would actually.
I would use it.
Okay. You would?
Yes.
Okay.
I used to be a nuclear reactor operator,
Okay.
and I'm a synesthete.
So where did you live when you did that?
I lived in Oregon. I
Okay.
lived in Oregon. I went to Reed College, and they have a
Gotcha.
nuclear reactor.
Interesting. Wisconsin, we've got Savannah Riverside
Yeah,
close to us. So just curious.
Yeah.
That would have been.
No, I did that in college. It was neat.
I bet it was.
And then I became a chemist, and then I became not a chemist anymore.
Now you're doing web things.
Yeah, I'm a second and third generation web developer, developer, I guess I should say. Like my grandfather did that after he retired from the military, and then my parents are both. So I like rebelled against it, even though I made lots of websites from being a teenager, basic websites.
Yeah.
And did a bunch of other things, and now it's like my job is kind of put me in sort of the translator place. They're like, please go talk to the IT people because we don't understand them, they don't understand us. I'm like, okay.
Yes.
And I enjoy that, and I actually
Me
wish
too.
I wish they'd let me do more. And then also I'm helping a friend with his site building business. And at first I was just kind of like his person who he brought in because I was good at reading legal documents and stuff.
Oh, sorry if your name was asleep.
And, taking some accounting classes, and then I was like, I'd really rather get involved in this.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Very cool.
Well, what's interesting to me is that actually what's funny is that, and I'm sure y'all have had similar experiences with this, every time I'd say I was in IT or used to be in IT, everybody would say, well, you do web pages? That was like the first thing for the past couple of years that's come out of everybody's mouth and everything. I'm like, no, I'm the network guy. No.
I'm the one that makes sure you can see the webpage.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
well, anyway, thanks for coming and thanks for being patient with it. And
Thanks for
Thanks for the
your
presentation.
thank you.